I had it last time. Yeah, it's true. I brought this. Oh, I look forward to it. It's true. I had it because I just said.
Just say it.
Yes.
You like that?
It's true story.
We are recording.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the meeting. And this is the Thursday, November 16th meeting of the City of Ojai Arts Commission. And we will begin with the roll call, please.
Chair Addison.
Here.
Vice Chair Harmon.
Here.
Commissioner Golden.
Here.
Commissioner Balderman.
Here.
Commissioner Byrne.
Here.
Commissioner Crowner.
Here.
And Commissioner Tosher.
Here.
All present.
Okay, we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Golden, would you be willing to lead us in the pledge, please?
Hi. Oh, well, I'll go.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was a step behind there. That was hilarious.
Okay,
Yeah.
He's here.
Actually, somebody took.
we have a quick change. We lose Wyrick, but we gain Blatz.
Well, I'm the one, and I sat in on the planning commission or
Yeah.
something for Bill
Okay,
last month, so he was gonna sit in on this one tonight, but I decided I'd show up anyway.
glad to have you. All right,
I was so impressed with you guys
important
the other week.
I see. All right.
Wow, not one, but two.
Well, let's move on. Time for public comment. Is there anybody here from the public who wishes to comment? Apparently not. So we'll move on then to the approval of the minutes of July 20th, which were sent out to all of you in your packet. Are there any comments or emendations or corrections to be made in those minutes? Hearing none, we'll assume that they are approved. So we'll work our way through agenda. We have some items that will take a considerable amount of time. The first item, I made a change in what I had recommended earlier. You may recall I recommended that we devote part of this meeting and part of our next meeting to an evaluation of each of the programs. My thought was that it would be better to do that in the context and vis-a-vis the evaluation of the 5-year plan, which we had agreed we'd be doing in January, or at least begin then. So what I would like to do with the commission's approval is to appoint essentially an ad hoc committee that will begin functioning in January. And the role of that committee then will be to evaluate where we are vis-a-vis the 5-year plan. And at the same time, that will give us an opportunity to evaluate each of the programs. Okay? All right. I don't know that we need a motion to that effect. I think we have consensus.
I move that we move that. That's
you
a good
approve the
idea.
plan. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Is there a second for that?
Oh, I'll second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we will have an ad hoc committee to do that, and then we'll start work in the new year. Okay, major item for this evening is the awarding of grants. And Christine and her committee have done a terrific job in preparing and disseminating the materials that we all have. And so now the challenge is to work out how we are going to distribute the $25,000 that we have. So Christine, I think you should lead us through this process.
Well,
if you would,
okay.
please.
Why don't we start right at the top, Linda, with the Krista McGee Ojai Independence Day celebration, and why don't you give us your ideas about what you think we should...
I basically.
Oh, before you do that, I would like someone to volunteer to do the math, because I don't do it very well, and it'll be a mess. So who's really good at keeping track of the numbers, and we'll do that.
Not me.
I'll
Stewart's
do
is
that.
not him.
I'll do that.
Michael's.
Michael, okay, thank you, Michael.
Okay. Basically, my feeling is that that grant is not appropriate for the Arts Committee, Arts Commission, and that's what I'm going to stand
Well,
with.
could you, expand why you think that?
Well, just because I think it's a great celebration, it's marvelous, but I don't feel that it's helping support a new program, an arts program for Ojai.
I agree. I don't think it has anything to do with art, myself.
I
Okay,
think
so
the
that's-
only element is the 1 hour concert they have in
And that's
Libby
what they want the
Bowl.
money for.
And I think that's what they want money for. They've also requested a waiver for the fee that would apply for use of Libby Bowl, and that hasn't been determined yet by the ad hoc committee that's dealing with that. But I have a very strong feeling, given the discussion we've had, that waiver is going to be approved. So given that fact, it seems to me that I would agree with Linda and Stuart that this does not merit our support.
So we don't want to give any money to that musical production? Is that what we're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees with that? No money for
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
okay. But not because it is an art, because certainly music is a performing art. We just think that why are we?
Because I don't feel like it's appropriate use of the grant monies.
Okay.
The monies are supposed to be instilling new ideas and new developing
Okay.
programs for arts in the community.
Okay.
And that's kind of, usually it's a tribute band or whatever. that they
Yeah.
have. It's not exactly new art, so.
Oh, you can, right there, look with me. This is the Independence Day.
And then I have the next one. Do you want me to do the next one?
Yes, please, Linda. And Linda is going to now talk about Focus on the Masters. They've asked for $5,500.
I think it's a fine program. Focus on the Masters have a proven record. I think it's a great idea to bring art into the classroom, as we probably all would agree. I think it'll be run professionally. On each of my grants, I went through and decided first which I felt were a good grant, and then what audience they would serve, and I kind of put a little slash next to it, and I put youth next to this one. And I felt that it was warranting support. I don't think I would go to the same level that they're requesting, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to fund other people as well, so.
Well, maybe we could direct everybody to the, in this case, it's on the back side of the first page where they've split out their costs for this grant. And Linda, maybe you could help us pare that down a little as you've talked to them and, what they've listed they want the money for.
I would leave it up to them to decide how they want to spend the grant.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm sorry. What I'm saying is that they have, as we asked them to, indicated the amounts for different components. So in the past, what we've done is we've said, well, they've asked for $2,900 for artistic personnel. Maybe we can give them the $600 for administrative. The exhibition costs money. In other words, we pared it down by looking at this sheet.
Yeah, but I didn't do it that way. I mean, I didn't do it that way before. I just looked at the amount they asked for, and I looked for the amount on each of the grants that, like I said, I selected, went through, and I did remove a couple that I didn't feel were warranting support, and then I divided it up, is what I did.
So what would you recommend would be the amount
I
for
have
this?
3,000 down there.
3,000? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I suggested as well, because essentially that covers the artistic personnel. And I think that is.
Right, which is
so-
why I referred everyone to this sheet.
So
Okay.
3,000 is a nice round number.
Okay, that's a starting point then, and now we would go on to Bobby Balderman, and this is the Madrigali grant.
Okay, just a minute.
Excuse me.
I was here last, Okay, I wasn't here last meeting, as you know. I'm curious, did they tell you how they're going to do their publicity? It was a question, I think I had emailed that to you, Michael. Do you know if anyone asked them?
I don't have the.
Because
an
they didn't
to
answer that question.
I think the fact that they're performing in senior citizen
Oh.
facilities and public schools, those facilities would publicize it to that audience.
And they-
That's the audience it would serve.
And they also have Facebook and Ojai Community Network.
Okay,
Yes,
okay, well,
yeah, they
I
do
wasn't
that.
sure, so that was just a question I had. You know, I don't feel that they're asking for that much, and so I just felt that it should be,
Yeah, I
The
agree
amount
with
they're
you.
asking
The
I
the
did
full
too.
amount.
I
Yeah.
thought full
So
amount.
that's 1650.
too.
right.
That's what I thought too.
Okay. And the next one is, oh, that's mine, Ray Powers, Valley of the Moon Suite. And this is a concert that was put on once before out at the, that church way out there on, across.
Community?
Yeah, community church that's out
church.
there across from Miramani School. And tons of kids, Julie Tuma met, other members, a wide array of community members involved in that production and performing or leading the orchestra. It's a real community kind of thing. And he would like to work with I can't find that one now, right? He would like to work with the, here it is, with the fiscal receiver, and that's Scott Weiss, who is also Music for Kids guy. And they really want to refurbish and come at this and perhaps be able to do it a little closer into town this time and
They
get a
want to do
wider
it in Libby
audience.
Bowl is what they're proposing.
Is that what it says under
Yeah,
Libby
Yeah.
Bowl?
yeah.
Okay, I don't remember right now.
Performance at Libby Bowl will be free for the community.
Yeah, they're asking for $3,000, and, if we look at the breakdown, does anybody have any ideas on what maybe, if we don't want to give the full three, we would?
I have one concern on this grant, and that's that it has already been performed.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I just took it out of it because I feel that we did support it the first performance, and I think it was great.
I
But I
agree.
think if he wants to perform it again, he needs to come up with a way to do it so that we can fund more new projects. That's just my personal
I agree.
opinion.
Yeah, I would agree too. If it was going to be, significantly different from what has been done, but he's not really advocating any massive changes in it. It's just a different venue and making it all happen again. And that's what we supported in the first instance.
Well, I'm going to give a plug for it because certainly the kids that perform are a different group of kids. And I just think anytime we include kids in a performance opportunity that involves music and a slideshow and the history of the Ojai Valley, that it's something worthwhile for us to support. I would suggest giving him some of what he's requested for it. I think that it's, otherwise they will not perform it a second time. They have no means to do that.
Well, perhaps again, we could cover the artistic personnel. He's listing that as 1,100.
That's what I was going to recommend.
So perhaps,
How many people are involved in performing?
Oh, my goodness.
That are paid?
I don't remember, I went to the performance, but I can tell you it is so many kids that are, playing on instruments. It's a slideshow, and Julie Tumamet talking about the history of, it's just a really beautiful thing. Valley of the Moon Suite. It's all about promoting Ojai. And to have that at Libby Bowl and have more people aware of it and able to go, to me, it's worth the $1,100.
I agree, it makes it more accessible.
Yeah, I think it is different because it's different kids going through it this
and
time.
arguably, we've already made an investment in it, so to give it some support as it moves
Yeah.
forward into the bigger venue might be
So is 1,100
justifiable.
good for the rest of you,
Worked
1,100?
for me.
All right,
He notes on page 4, it's 25 professional musicians.
Okay, good.
thank you.
Good, that's what I wanted to know.
Okay, and then Christine, would you talk to us about Terry Metala's
Art Center.
Yeah,
Art Center?
well, I absolutely love this idea and love this proposal. I wish we could give them 10,000, but then I don't think we'd have enough for everybody else. I think I think Ojai we should have an equity waiver productions. We have enough people here that support the arts and the theater and that are in the business. So the only thing, I actually thought 5,000.
That's what I had. I had
Yeah,
5,000.
me too.
Chris, could I ask you
I
a
both have
question?
to recuse ourselves from this because we're both going to be involved in productions at the Art Center in the coming year.
Christine,
And I cannot
my
or
question,
discuss.
okay, thank you for, saying that.
Yes.
If that equity piece gets in there, does that then mean less opportunities for non-equity actors to perform in our little town?
I don't think that that's what they're proposing. To me, it seemed like that they wanted to let the art, which we have some really good actors in this town, and give them the opportunity to work with some equity waiver people to improve their skills and to bring us even better theater. And the idea of doing, I have to say, because I've seen pantos, and I think that they are just incredible. I love that idea as well. So, yes, I'm sold.
Well, that's good. That's what I want to know. I want to know a little bit more.
And also, I like the idea that the youth, of the youth branch, and I know Gay Jones has done a tremendous job, and she is a very
Yes,
professional arts
yes.
educator. She was Educator of the Year for,
Yes.
yeah.
Now,
And I had a concern about the equity thing too.
Oh,
But I actually asked Lenny, because he had been involved in there in the past, he's not on the board or anything now, but he said in the past, when they have had some equity performers, but what happens is a lot of times they get a waiver,
Right.
and then any money that they do get, they give back after they get their, I guess, the taxes and their union dues. Is that how it works, Stuart?
No.
Oh, you can't? Well,
It has.
it has.
It has, but it
can't
It
anymore.
can't,
The
right.
contract
Yeah.
changed, yes.
Right.
So now that this is just going to be allowing them to do some of the things they've already done, which I think have been tremendous.
Yeah.
Bobby or Marcy, you have any questions on this one?
No, they requested 10.
Yeah,
I have 8,000 to give them.
okay. If we gave them, I think you said 5, if we gave them the 5, what do they say about their ability to do it anyway?
I think,
Since you have my notes.
sorry, from,
Oh, there.
It says they-
From looking through through their budget, I think that they can definitely fundraise for the rest of it. To me, this will cover the artistic personnel, and that's probably the most important. Promotion and marketing, they can figure some things out in supplies. I think it's still very doable for them.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're putting 5,000 down for this one?
I'm
Everyone's okay with
'cause
that?
we
Yep.
already-
Okay.
All right, then we're going to move on to, and this is also Chris's, Joan Kemper from OPAT.
Again, we're
Give me
You
that.
have to.
recusing ourselves.
Well, this is also another program that I'm really excited about for kids to be performing in. Youth opera is fantastic, and Joan's very well.
Oh, that's the one below it. OPAT isn't the
Yeah.
youth
OPAT is
opera.
Oh,
not the
I'm
youth.
sorry.
I have
I'm
used
sorry.
opera, yeah.
Whoops. Oh, the Performing Arts Theater Foundation is the
right.
one that I'm looking at. I like, they work with the school district, which I think is great, especially since budgets keep getting cut in the schools. So I like the idea of them working closely with them. And I like the idea of expanding the season and, give the kids opportunity to perform more works.
It's usually a professional performance. It's not kids, though. I mean, there's supporting roles, but
There's some kids.
Mix.
It's a mix.
And any profits that they make, they donate to a local
Right.
nonprofit.
right.
Land Conservancy last year, the museum the previous year, the Libby Bowl Foundation the previous year. And then $80,000 to the school district.
Which is great.
So are we thinking that we want to go with the full 3?
I went with 2 because I was trying to get the money spread around.
I was also thinking too.
All right, so let's put down 2. Stuart,
Yes.
you can
this is-
talk to us about Ojai Youth Opera, and please do.
They want to do another production, two productions this year. They want to have a more aggressive fundraising effort. They did a magnificent opera. Did everybody see it? I hope you did, because it
Yes.
was really superb.
Yeah.
Brundebar.
So great.
And this is first-class stuff here. And it was in the Libby Bowl, which ain't easy to put a big show in. It put 900 people in the audience.
Filled the bowl.
Yeah.
900
Yeah.
people, folks. That's big. And they want to do it again, and they want to do a second production, and they also want to increase, make their marketing presence a little bit more evident. So I think it's great, and I would say go as much as we can.
I fully funded that one.
I would go with 6, you know.
I did, I fully funded that one.
Yeah.
So the full amount on that one, everyone is okay with that?
I
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Ah,
And then you got the music festival.
music, that's me. They want to do this family arts daycare camp, which I think is terrific.
Oh.
It isn't, it's more about art and you know, painting, sculpture with kids than it is about music, interestingly enough. And they think that there's a wonderful marriage of those two arts, you know, the visual arts and the performing arts, and they want to do that.
And that was the lady that's going to be running
Yeah.
it that came.
Laura.
Yes,
And
She's
her
She's
name-
a
she was
professional, Laura
impressive.
Roth. She's a professional flutist.
Yeah.
Plays all over the world.
Yeah,
She's
and she's going to
incredible.
run it. So I
Let's run
think it's going to
similar
be in good
programs.
hands,
Yeah.
I would say. And
Do you have an amount that you want to
I would go
suggest?
$3,000.
I,
$3,000?
Yeah.
I went
What, Linda?
2 on that because we've got.
You're
so
saving
many-
it for later?
Yeah, there's so many on here.
I went 2750.
Yeah, why not that?
Well, sure, how about somewhere in the middle, 2,500? Start with that?
Start with
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is Michael, and that's Ojai Pops Orchestra.
Yeah. Well, we know what the Ojai Pops Orchestra is because they have performed before in Libby Bowl. And it's, how to describe it? It's local musicians and frankly, I don't think the quality is very high. I guess I don't really have a very strong supportive feel about it.
I don't either. I think we have to set a standard here in this room, and to give money to something that's frankly mediocre is not our job.
Yeah.
But to argue on the other hand, I mean, it's people in the community performing who might not have the opportunity to get together and play.
Well,
And
perform with a
that's-
higher standard, though, maybe,
Yeah, but-
a leader that's better.
And if they want to get together and play, they can. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, no, that's kind of hard sometimes.
Marcy or Bobby or Michael, do you have any, well, I think Michael already said he kind of goes with the quality thing, but Marcy or Bobby, do you want to add anything?
Well, a good portion of it, 4483, they want to supplement, add to their library.
Yeah, their music wish list.
Right, so would that music library, that music be accessible, shared? Can we be shared in the community?
No,
I doubt it.
probably not.
pay for it
No.
to perform it.
I see, so
And
it's
it-
performance.
I think so.
And the
Yeah.
charts are
That's
for
where
their
the
band, you know, there are 3 trumpets, there are 2
Right.
trombones, that kind of thing.
Okay, so.
So I'm
once-
kind of hearing that we want to do a NA on this one.
I do.
Nothing, okay? Everyone's okay with that?
Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
We can't do everything.
And then Brian Bemmel, and that's Mr. Addison as well.
Well, I think this is a terrific program. I think it's a proven program that is of extraordinarily high quality with the performers of a caliber that are world-class. So I would lean towards funding this to as great a degree as we can. If we can make the 4,000 work, I think this one would merit 4,000.
Yeah, and they got a
Because
nice.
they really do engage with an enormous number of kids, and their audiences are increasing as the word spreads. And it's a very well-run program.
If we, I've been totaling as we go along, and as I said, I'm not really good with the math, but I've got
37.50.
21,250 up until performances to grow on. So 4,000 for that would be 25,250. We're 250 over, and we haven't yet heard about the Ojai Film Festival or the performance for Peace Day. So,
Okay, I just wanted to add something to this, that they just received a grant from the Women's Foundation. Brian did.
okay,
It's a nice grant,
all
so
right. So what about 2,000? What about
2,000.
half?
2,000? Yeah, that would be
that's
good.
what I had.
It's a
down
gesture,
for.
which is
Yep.
nice, I
Yep.
think.
You already
It's a
got
show of
grant.
support, and we've given to
Yeah.
them so often in the past, by
Yeah.
the way.
And it's a signature Ojai festival.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it is fabulous.
That's a good point,
That
good
makes
point.
sense.
So we're now at 23,250,
Okay.
I believe. Michael, does that compute with you?
Let me add the numbers up. I haven't done it yet. 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, 20,
44,000, I don't know what I'm doing.
Don't do it then.
20.
Somebody ask
Yeah,
someone
I-
else to do
I
it.
think we're up to 23.6 at this point. If
Well,
I
I'm sure your numbers are better than mine.
don't know about that. I'm doing it in my head, so.
I have 23,
I've got
250.
23,250 is what I've got.
I have 23, 250.
Okay, well, that's
What have you
probably
got?
what it is.
23, 250.
That's what I have.
I'll double check it while you're going.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've got the
Okay.
same as
Film
James.
festival?
Yes, let's move on. Marcy, you want to talk to us about the film festival proposal?
Right, you,
is
James,
that?
you have the financial statement?
Yes.
Why don't I have that? Oh, here it is.
No.
Where's my performance for Peace Day?
I agree.
Did you get one for the sharing?
I got
I
one,
need to
yeah.
talk to you
I
after
had
the
one.
meeting.
Oh, this is
Just
for
this
sharing.
kind of basic stuff, yeah.
So in 2016, they were running at about a $2,000
Loss.
deficit. And they're requesting $2,000. It's the same student program that they run. They wanted to offer the free movie in the arcade
You
grass area.
got your mic, Mark, did you turn your mic on?
Yeah, it's on. So they want to do that again, and they want to have the movie to open the film festival at Libby Bowl. Their costs are for just producing the screening of those movies. Exhibition costs, marketing, services, supplies and materials, other. I don't know, I just think that we would be funding their deficit,
Yeah.
their anticipated deficit. I feel bad.
I've been involved with the film festival a long time, was on the board for a few years, and here's an interesting fact. There are 3,400 film festivals in the United States of America. Do we need another one? That's what I keep saying to them, and so there's that. I've been involved in that youth program, and as a panelist, there was 2 panelists, and we thought, gee, this is really great. And the kids showed up, they were, all slackers, not one question for the people in the audience. Their eyes were dead, and it was that way this year, too. So, I'm not a fan.
So we're all more or less leaning toward no funding for this year? All right, then I'm just going to skip on ahead, Marcy, and say that we have $1,750 left
Okay.
to reach our 2,500, and if.
Brian Berman,
Yeah, That's
see if he
what's
wants to expand. It was a little wobbly whether or not he had secured a headliner, and if this money's going to really help him get Kenny Loggins or whatever for the Libby Bowl. So I had him down anyway for 2,500.
well, we don't have, how would you feel about 1,750? Because then we're at our 2,500.
There you go, lucky Brian.
All right.
How about we make it
Lucky.
1,500? That's what he requested for artistic personnel.
1,500?
1,500.
So we have a little left over for somebody else to add into. Well, let's look, everybody, where do we want to add in then?
I'd like to put it into the Arts Center.
Yeah.
So let's go back up to committee at the Arts Center, and instead of 5,000, it'll be 5,000, what was that leftover amount? 5,000?
5250.
250.
5,250.
Yeah.
All right, let's add it up. I'm going to say the number, and then Michael, will you add it?
Actually, James, I think, is good, is
All
probably
right,
better with
James,
the
would you add it when I
calculator.
say the number? Sure. Okay. Focus on the Masters, 3,000. Madrigali, 1,650. Valley of the Moon Suite, 1,100. Committee of the Arts Center, 5,250. OPAT, 2,000. Ojai Youth Opera, 6,000. Ojai Music Festival, 2,500. Performances to Grow On, 2,000. Performance for Peace Day, 1,500. 25,000.
Bingo!
Wow.
You did it.
Balance the budget.
Then, just to
Not much.
reiterate that,
Not much rank.
we do not feel that the Ojai Film Festival proposal met our criteria, nor did the Ojai Pops Orchestra, nor did the Independence Day celebration. So those three
Right,
are not
right.
being funded. So that's important, I think, for James to have a complete record of that when it comes to paying out the money.
I think we should have a formal motion to
Accept these numbers?
accept these amounts for these requests. And I think appropriately, Christine, you could make that motion, as chair of the committee.
I move that the amounts recorded by Mr. Vega be the amounts awarded for the grants named.
I'll second it.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, well done, well done. Yeah.
Christine and I talked about me writing a release, which we will not send out until, of course, the council says it, but just to get it in our heads
Yeah.
and hold
Yeah.
on to it, so we'll
Yeah,
do
and
that.
we'll
Good,
talk about that
good, thank you,
afterwards, too.
thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the mentor program. Bobby, what do you have to report?
Well, there's really nothing new. The good news is that we finally were able to get a check to the young lady who did not, it's kind of, I'll give you a little backstory. One of the mentees from last year did not receive her check, apparently. It somehow ended up in the vault at the city. And so finally, it was dug out and given to her this year, only for the poor thing to take it to the bank, and they said, no, it's over 90 days old, we won't cash it. So finally, we convinced the city, who gave us, I think James will tell us, he gave us a little bit of a push on this one, because it was an old check out of an old budget, and they didn't want to reissue it. But the check went out.
Oh, good.
It's in the mail.
We're good.
Yeah, so we're done for the year with that. Thank you.
And I think the other important thing is, as you all know, we brought up the issue of the mentor program in our joint meeting with the council the other day and explained that we had submitted an amended request, and that apparently got buried. So we're hoping that come the January reconciliation that you spoke of, that we'll get that additional 2,000. That will give us plenty of time. We'll know at that point how many mentors we can afford to have in next year's program. And, it's not carved in stone that it be 5, but that's proven to be a workable number. And it's meant that we've always been able to have about half of the artists who apply receive an involvement in the program, which is, it's healthy. It keeps it competitive and it keeps it vigorous, I think. Okay, we will move on to the Public Art Committee. Ms. Golden.
I also
Nothing
want
to report. Okay, well then we'll move on.
Wishful thinking.
I do want to say
Christine, please.
to Bobby that I found your slideshow for the book to be absolutely
Terrific.
spectacular.
Yes. Yeah.
That was, I mean, it really, the whole meeting, congratulations to Michael and to you and Stuart, because I just thought it was just top-notch.
We really
Meeting.
pushed this year to get photos.
Yeah.
I was really on them. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we got them.
You'd be a good producer.
Oh, she is. I don't know if you all know that Bobby ran the entire Gen Generation Communications for the Ojai Valley Youth Foundation. They're having a 25-year and 20-year anniversary. Bobby, why don't you say when it is?
December 10th, I don't have the time on me, but it's at Topo Winery.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
so
there'll be music and.
And, yeah, it's going to be quite
They
a
come.
celebration. And what's going to be fun is to see some of these interns, and when I look back, and I think some of these kids that were, 15, 16 years old, who are now 30 years old,
Yes.
are going to
And-
be there with their kids.
And even one who became a mayor of Ojai,
and
Yes.
Savara Lara
Oh,
was.
really? No
He
kidding.
was an intern when
part
I
of that.
started at the Youth Foundation.
Is it a
Right.
fund,
He was
is
this little
it a
kid.
fundraiser for the program too, or
I don't know the details.
can you let me know and I'll put it on the city website
Oh, yeah.
okay, well,
Oh,
I'll-
yeah.
as soon as you can, because
I'll
I'm doing
forward
December
you the-
monthly
the
too.
Thing I have.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank you.
so let's go back now to public. I'm sorry, Michael. I
That's
just
all
felt
right.
like
That's
it just
all right.
came from here,
From the heart, that's okay.
So you have in front of you, or you will any minute now, a plaque requirement language. James. Okay. I saw you run it off. No, this isn't it. Okay. It's going to get passed out right now. And we're bringing this to you because we'd like any feedback that you want to give us before we insert this into the developer's handbook. Marcy has worked on this really hard, and Michael has given, and I have given feedback into it. And the copy that you have now does not have the photograph of a plaque, but if you look over here, there will be a photograph of a plaque or two that is much smaller. We just haven't got our tech act together
This
and
is
getting that on the
font
sheet.
size and type and all that stuff.
Pretty much. We want to try to keep it to
Yeah.
one page. James, I didn't get one.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'll just walk through it. Unless, Marcy, why don't you walk everybody through it? I talk too much anyway.
It's pretty basic and simple.
Okay, everybody just want to read it?
I have a question. Who produces the actual plaque?
Who produces what?
The plaque itself? I mean,
As-built
we,
trophy?
is it?
We have
the
given
same-
them
is
two.
this it? No. Is the, I don't know, how do I say this? The developer or the,
part of
does the city staff produce the plaque?
No, the developer can choose any plaque company that
Okay,
it so
okay.
desires, but we're
Oh.
giving them two sample plaque companies that the city has used. And there's a few little typos and things in here that need to be corrected that I know about, but I don't think any of you care about. Am I going over that with you?
Just that sentence funding for the plaque.
But if there's something we're missing here or whatever, you can also email us if you don't see it now and you want to take a closer
I
look.
think that makes sense for people to look at it and.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that? I'll remind everybody that we're waiting for comments, and if you would be so kind, if you don't have any changes or suggestions, to say thumbs up so that we know that you're all okay.
And
It's just
to
going to be
you.
inserted, do it for me because Marcy can't do the final thing on her computer, but I'm going to be
Okay.
doing it. Yeah, which is fine, I don't mind doing it.
We want to send, maybe you have the physical, one of the physical plaques, maybe everyone would like to look at it,
Oh.
to see if you have comment.
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm perfectly fine with just okaying it on your, I'm sure that you looked this over and if,
Oh, absolutely,
So
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
feel like I
We
need to
just
look
wanted
over
to
it.
give
Me
everyone an
either.
opportunity.
I think it's fine.
Okay,
So-
thanks, Linda.
What about past projects? Are we going to go back and,
We actually have done that.
Up to date, yeah.
okay.
And we now have, and there's two categories here. One is private development plaques, and we wanted to move to having the cost of that come out of private development projects because it just was, we don't have the budget anymore. There's just so much development going on. So that's really what this is about, to make it clear to developers up front
Part of
that
it,
they're going to be responsible for this. So we have now got a plaque, I think they're in James's office, for Topa Mountain Winery. We just need to make arrangements for them to bring someone in so we can be on site and show them where it's being installed, because we've already worked that out with Larry Guerrera. Michael and I went over and visited quite some time ago on that one. And I've been in to see Fresh and talk to Gus, and we have decided where that will go for the paintings inside the restaurant. We just need them now to arrange to have a handyman come in and do it, because Public Works does not want to do this in case there's a problem, like, the wall falls apart. And then the plaque for Libby Park, we finally have that ordered, the one that says Fund for All and Doug Lochner, and then there's a secondary one, which is the waiver money from the Whitman project, and that family is recognized as having funded Fund for All. So there's two separate plaques that our guys, our public art guys, Public Works guys will install those two plaques. And then I think all the plaques, I think we're up to date. I'm pretty sure we're up to date.
Good job.
Oh,
Very
God,
good.
it took forever.
The donor plaque, the curved one, the third plaque.
For the playground,
Yeah, for the
yeah.
playground.
Oh.
The Fun for All? Fun for All? Oh, that's the one that's on order, right?
No, that's the lock.
There are two curved plaques for Libby Park.
We should look at them. We have the Fun for All. I don't remember it being curved.
And it has to be curved, it's going on a post.
Okay, so we should
Okay,
look at that.
so we'll check on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marcy, you could follow up with James on that. Okay. The second thing is this worksheet I sent out to everybody with a whole bunch of attachments. And this isn't to make any decisions tonight, but we have 5 proposed projects that have come up or we've discussed. And I would like to start and go around the table and see if anybody would like us to add. There's room on this sheet in case there's something that you would like to see us consider. And what will happen is the Public Art Committee will fully explore the top choice and come back to you with information on whatever your top choice is. We can decide this in January. But tonight, we want to know if there's any questions you have about what's already on here, or if you want to add anything to this. So Marcy, do you have anything you want to add?
Nothing that's not on here, because I have a favorite.
Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah, and hopefully you all will, not really rate them, but prioritize them, because it could be that we all give number 1 to the same one, and piece of cake, that's the one we'll choose. Bobby?
I had kind of an out there idea, but it's interesting because people who visit Ojai don't know that the city is a separate thing from the Ojai Valley. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we had some sort of artistic way of welcoming people to the city of Ojai? Does that start at the Vons, that intersection there? Where does it start? And do we have a place where we could put something like that?
Okay.
There's signs.
There's signs, but
Yeah.
I mean something
So
a
an
little-
art sign, an
Entrance
art project
sign.
sign,
An entrance.
I mean, I've seen other cities that do that.
Maybe a cool map or
designating
something.
entrance to the valley, entrance to the city.
To the city.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll get as much information I can on that kind of a thing. I'll explore that. And if you could,
Maybe we can do
you have
that.
some time and you know of some and want to shoot me some info, please do. But we'll do it, the 3 of us will do it. Michael, anything you
I
want
don't
to
have
add?
anything to add at this point, no.
Okay, Linda?
The one thing I would like to add is I brought these couple books from Andy Goldsworthy, in case nobody knows who he is or what he does. He does landscape art, I guess you'd call it, out of natural stone and found pieces of, well, it's hard to describe. You have to look at the books.
Elements from the environment
From
that
the
he's working
environment,
in.
yes.
Great artist.
And that, yeah, and that reflects the environment, and they're very moving. They're almost spiritual. And when I think of Ojai, I think of that. I think of nature, and I think of the spiritual nature of where we live and the beauty that's here and the creativity. And I think it would be so awesome if we could put in an RFP for some kind of earthwork. I don't think this will pick up on the camera for the viewing audience. His name's Andrew Goldsworthy. I know we probably can't afford him, but it would be awesome if we could put an RFP out there to have someone come and do a site-specific piece in Ojai, and maybe it's at the beginning of the valley, I don't know.
Do you
I
have
was
a
thinking-
site in mind?
I was thinking of Libby Park or one of the parks, because the barranca along the park there between the Arts Center and.
Where the bridge is?
Yeah, that would be a natural location for
would.
something like
like that.
this. And that part of the park is kind of not used, really. It would be beautiful. Or down by where the old jail is, down in there is a gorgeous area, too. I mean, it's just a perfect setting.
So I wrote down, so let me make sure I'm reflecting what you said. Landscape art using natural elements like an earthwork.
Or
that could
He
be
does it with
located
stone.
in the Barranca in Libby
Well,
Park by the
somewhere in Libby-
Barranca, or
somewhere
somewhere
in-
in that location
I was
there.
thinking Libby Park, but it doesn't have to be Libby Park if we have another.
Well,
site.
I think we need to have some specificity for people to be able to say which of these they like better than another one.
Okay, Libby Park then.
Yeah, so I think that sounds really good. All right, so then Christine, do
Great.
you have any ideas?
Well, this one's probably more temporary, but I was part of a project in Ventura one time where we actually painted banners that were then displayed all along the downtown. And with all the artists we have in Ojai, that would be an amazing project, and they could be hung at different times, Ojai Day or, holidays.
In the arcade?
Yes, yes.
And were they themed?
No, we didn't have a theme. It was a long time ago.
banner.
Maybe the banners.
So we can look that
Maybe
up,
our
too. Can
love
you
of
shoot me some on
Ventura.
that?
It was many years ago. But anyway, but we could do, an Ojai themed thing, and it would be fun for
We actually have that, though. The Ojai Day banners were painted all by local artists, individual artists.
oh,
Yeah,
And I
that
think
are
the
hung.
city has committed to various organizations, schools,
Oh, for the banner across the
festival.
street.
Yeah, they've got that all worked
Oh,
out, and you'd be
okay. They certainly
surprised
do.
Yeah,
how
that's
that
for
there are
sale.
very few weeks available. They're all kind of like
Okay.
I thought you were talking about the
Promised.
arches.
Do you want to keep
arches.
this?
Yeah, there is the option of doing the ones through
Do you
the
wanna keep
arches.
this
yeah,
on
the one
there?
through the,
Yeah.
You wanna
through
keep it on
the
there?
arches, yes. I think it'd be
Oh,
fun.
and
Ojai Day has
So we'll
them,
keep
but-
it on.
And the artists did
Two
get a
festivals.
stipend.
Yeah.
One at a time, please, folks, one at a time.
So I put down temporary art project, banners along downtown arcade.
Yes.
Okay.
To build on that idea, you could also, it wouldn't have to be a banner. I mean, I was at this town, Chelsea, Michigan, where they did that artist, but it was, everybody took a door. I mean, they took a door and painted it, and then they were all through towns. And they're really awesome. They were really cool. Chelsea's a small town, and the
Yeah.
artists got really involved. So, I mean, it could be anything that
Yeah.
the artists paint.
Kind of is almost like a category under utility boxes.
Yes, that'd
Those
be fun
are
to-
permanent. But it's that same idea that would involve a lot of artists.
And you could
Maybe
auction
I'll
off the
research.
doors
Yeah,
to raise money for.
yeah, I like it. Marcy?
I do have an idea now that talking about different artists creating an object or something, not just a banner. Some towns, like in LA, they had, remember the angels? They had the form of the angel, and then different artists painted, decorated them, attached things to it. And I was just in Austin, and they kind of did the same thing with cowboy boots, So if we could think-
Chicago did cows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
cows.
that was the
So
first, I think.
if we could think of what object, what inanimate object,
A lemon.
a lemon,
Pixie.
Or an orange, or an avocado.
a pixie, something that would represents Ojai, and then have various artists and pop them all over town.
Oh, I'd like
That's
that.
Because it's
nice
a great,
idea.
of discovery, to find them in unexpected places,
I like
What
that
a
better than
fun
the
idea.
banner.
That's such a fun
Yes.
idea.
Yeah.
spread
Right.
all around in
So,
different.
Marcy, I put this down as, find an item that represents Ojai, and then we have artists paint that
Right.
object. That could be really, really fun.
I think it would be
All
fun.
right, see,
Yeah.
I knew this would be a really fun conversation. So we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ideas.
We haven't heard from Stuart yet.
This is going to be great. You're going to love this. I'm going to go in pitch mode, and I get in the
Yeah.
edge of my chair, and that's when you go out in pitch mode.
Okay.
So, no, I don't have an idea, but I have a question.
I thought he said he didn't have it.
What is the Playhouse wall? What is that? I don't know.
All right,
I
let's.
can imagine what it is.
Let's
but I
go
don't know.
through those. Let's go through these. Everyone knows what the painted utility boxes are. Side of the Playhouse is
We all know
the Libby Theater. For a long, long time, there has been interest in that not being just a plain wall, but what a perfect place for a public art project,
Oh,
which could be a mural. Most people think automatically and think it's going to be the head of a Chumash elder or a big picture of an orange. That's what they think when they hear the word mural. But if any of you have gone down to the collection in Oxnard and looked at the side of Whole Foods that Susan Amen did, tile
Great.
work,
Great.
represents Oxnard It actually that she was told, it has to represent all the different elements that make Oxnard, Oxnard. And so that's what she did, and it's
Right.
magnificent. And that's one idea. There are a million other ideas. There's RTK Tile that could do a beautiful frieze of some kind. I mean, there's so
With
many
the
things
same
that could be
thing,
done
yeah.
there, that if we did this, I think we would probably come back and recommend to you that we did an unlimited competition and brought in tons and tons of proposals.
Absolutely.
And then there would be a public art jury. Now, this is something that, for those of you that are new, that you might not know, that for this kind of a project, we do not use the committee to approve public art. It's a public art jury. And that jury might come back with 2 tops, and it could go to a community decision, which of those 2. There's all kinds of work to do on any of these projects, but that's what that would be. The changing sculpture site, we talked about this at our public art meeting for a little bit today, and just so you know, and I think this is important for everyone here to know, there is a designated spot on the City of Ojai master plan for a sculpture park in Libby
It was
Park.
the Libby Bowl plan.
It's the Libby Bowl
Libby Bowl.
plan, and it includes a sculpture park site. So if we went with that one, we should definitely be looking at what has already been put aside for a sculpture park by the city itself.
Makes so much sense, it seems to me, in that
Yeah.
it already has the
It's already there.
imprimatur of the plan.
And we could have some real problems with the site here, because it was just designated historic property, and James is going to look in to see if that would interfere. I think we all remember, and I sent you a reminder photograph
Yes.
of the Rehnquist statue and the peace bells. That's kind of like the same thing in my mind. It's something like an add-on piece.
Peace bells,
But
what are
we-
the peace bells?
Peace bells is an artist who would like to do some peace bells, but there is no drawing. It's just a concept at this point. So when we don't know about these, our cost, if somebody comes to us with an idea, that's a whole nother thing than our pursuing an idea. So but I felt I had to put it on there because it came to us. So it doesn't mean we have to go with that.
Right.
Can I say one thing, too? When you're
Sure.
talking about public art murals, I have just been amazed after going through Ventura lately, if anybody's been down the avenue, but they have some absolutely beautiful murals. They're just painted, they're not tiled or anything, but they just add so much to the community. And Santa Paula already has had a zillion
Yeah.
murals. I just cannot figure out for the life of me why Ojai has not had any, so.
Oh, Linda, I'm so glad you brought that up, because now this is going back to when Steve McClary was.
Miners Oaks has murals now.
But this goes back to when Steve McClary was art liaison, and we talked about this, and I was told that there can be no murals until we have a mural ordinance. In which I have a mural ordinance from Ventura. I have a copy of their mural ordinance. It would be a piece of cake to just work that over for us. Public Art Committee would come back to you with that. If that's what you decided that you wanted to do, this would start us off. We'd get a mural ordinance in place. However, there are considerations on the side of the Playhouse. HPC wants that to be a historical designation site. There's a lot of reasons why it can't be. We would need permission and a covenant with the new owner. We had one with, we at least had a verbal commitment from Khaled, but it's not Khaled's anymore. So
It is?
all these things are
sold it?
surmountable.
Wait,
sold it?
he sold it?
I thought he
No.
sold the gallery.
Primavera.
He sold Primavera, but he
somebody-
hasn't sold the theater.
Oh, I heard he was going to.
Okay, so that's unconfirmed.
Yes, let's leave it at that.
Yes, we'll just leave it there. I know too much, or not enough. All these things, every one of these projects, for example, the utility boxes, if we went that way, which would involve a lot of artists, we would have to work with each utility company. Now, they're used to this now, because it's happening all over the place to paint utility boxes. But every one of them is a tremendous amount of work on the part of the Public Art Committee, as well as on the part of staff, which is why I really want to say we have to be very cautious when we talk about just wanting to encourage private developers, because we can never put art there if they don't, to give us the money. We want them to do the art, unless there's a really good reason for them not to, because it puts a great burden on the city to do the art. And most cities that have programs that just take the money have an entire department that runs the arts program, like Ventura, don't they have like they have a whole department? This is a little, we're a
100,000
little
people,
tiny
too.
Ojai.
Well, they're a different city.
Yeah. Can
Okay,
we go back
anything
to-
else that we need to?
Well, just the last thing on this is, if you would now be prepared in January to go through this on your own between now and January and number them. What's your top choice? What's your second? And then we'll see where we sit with this, and we'll get busy behind the scenes.
Christine, you know, a lot of what's my top choice or second choice or third choice would be, can you remind us how much money we have?
Yes, they took the $8,000, and I'm going to just kind of talk a little bit off here and say, I have two members of city council who have
Let's not
said.
go there, Christine.
No,
please.
I'm going to say this. I have two members of city council who have said that that was not right, that they did that, and that that money may come back to us in some form. So I do want to say that. That money may be coming back to us. But without that $8,000, we have,
Currently, there's 38,775. It's in, should have it in your
but
packet.
it might come back.
Okay.
I'm hoping it will.
Okay, let's leave it at that.
Can I? Go ahead.
Can you please add the new ideas and?
Yeah.
Yes,
resend them
oh, yes,
to
I
us?
will. I will
Thank you.
absolutely get that out to everybody. I've got it all here.
And I had a quick thought. It occurred to me, I was in Breckenridge, Colorado this last summer, and during a sort of an Ojai day that they have there, and they had tours, guided tours of the public art in Breckenridge. It was this really small downtown,
I know,
smaller than
I
ours.
promised I'd do it.
But I think that's a great idea. We should add this. The more
Have a
the more
museum
projects we
tour.
get, the more impressive it is for our visitors.
They have a museum tour every Saturday. That might be something we
I
could
know,
talk
I've
to
talked-
Wendy
I've already
about.
talked
They
to Wendy
include-
about it, yeah, it's on my plate.
Okay.
Oh.
Can I?
Okay, Linda.
I know we need to move on. I love the idea of the mural ordinance. Can we do something about that instead of
okay.
talking about it? Can we move it, or?
Well, I think that's a good idea, Christine. I think it would be appropriate for the Public Art Committee to look at the Ventura mural ordinance
Okay, we'll do
and
that.
begin to draft and move towards establishing a mural ordinance for the city of Ojai.
I so move.
That's also on our
Okay.
plate.
All right.
It's been on our plate
Are
for
we
some time,
seconding?
along with
Second?
archival photography
too.
and plaques and the private development projects that, we really do need a separate commission for public art. Just saying, Paul.
I don't think so. All right, anything else on public art? Okay, let us move on then to the City Gallery Committee.
So we've been discussing our shows for next year. And the first show that we're going to have is a photography show, and it's going to be juried by Donna Granada.
Excellent.
So she volunteered to do that. I'm going to be getting out the call to artists hopefully tonight or tomorrow night at the latest. Put it on our Facebook page, our website, email everybody that's listed. And
You want me
then
to post it? I'll post it.
and post it. And our next exhibit after that is going to be something a little different. Joanne Pavlak, she's a contemporary artist, and I think it'll be really fun and thoughtful. She also does some drawing, so that's going to be a good show. And then the OSA Scholarship Show. And then Carlos Grasso is going to have a show here.
Great.
And then the Mentor Show. And then we'll have another open call at the end of the year. And we haven't quite figured out the theme of that one, but it is going to be an open show.
That, by the way, I thought was very successful.
Yes.
As a first venture, you got wonderful art from a variety of artists, and
Yes.
the trigger of what Ojai means to me really paid off, I think, in some very interesting work.
I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
So,
anything else from
okay.
the gallery committee? That's exciting. Thank you for the time and effort and thought that you guys are putting into that, because it just raises the bar
Thank you.
very nicely. Arts education, Ms. Balderman, who we all applaud loudly.
Yes, yes.
Work on the book.
Well, you all heard it Tuesday night. You saw and you heard it all.
Any
But-
new pages?
Well, actually, no, we're really down to the, I'm not kidding, to the nitty-gritty of getting, the barcode, making sure it's correct, getting that last copy, the text for the back cover. and, still fixing some problems. Part of the problem that's happened is, as you know, is when you have proofing by committee. We're starting to get more proofing than, it's like, okay, enough, no more, because we're getting opinions from extra people. So we're having to kind of close the door on that. And,
Good,
You know,
good.
yeah, and say, okay, no more, because everyone's got an opinion. But it's really coming down to the wire. And we actually worked out a budget. We had a meeting and looked at the, where are we? And it's really interesting because according to my records, we end up with about $88 left when we're done with the expenses. We're going to print 1,000 books, and we're looking into how to distribute them. This becomes a big issue because we have to know, for example, does the Ojai Valley Inn purchase them from us at cost and then sell them and they keep the profits? Or do they take them on consignment? How do we work out things like that? Do we have a resale number? That's an important thing to find out. So we're getting into the business end of the distribution of the book now. And then the other thing is we want to have a launch party, which you heard me talk about. And that's going to coincide with the Starchitecture, the show that's going to be at the museum in January. It's Ojai by Design. And that, of course, is the name of our book. So we're hoping that we can, have a joint launch party with the museum, utilizing, of course, their list and that type of thing. And so we're doing a lot. All of a sudden, we're really in gear getting this thing distributed and out there and letting people know about it. So we're on target. I'm hoping we'll be at the printer by beginning of December 1st, at least that following Monday would be the 4th. And then have it at the museum. And the other thing we're looking into, which, James, I don't know if somebody contacted you, but we're looking into storage, 40 boxes. We got to figure out what to do with those. So, yeah.
Okay. I hadn't been contacted. There's a couple of thoughts I have. We have some basement space and some attic space.
Great.
Might be an option. And then I wanted to talk to you at some point, too, about if we'd be able to sell them here at the counter as well.
Yeah.
So
That's what we were
Sure.
talking about, that of even selling them on the website, but we weren't sure.
Well,
Yeah.
that's an idea.
I wanted to say that it was a great idea to sell them on the website, but we're not an e-commerce site to begin with. It's not set up
Mail 'em.
prop, and, and it gets into some logistical issues because who's going to be doing the distribution?
Right.
Who's checking the site so that if a sale comes in, who ships out?
Who's mailing it?
Who's mailing it, and are we including shipping cost? And
Also-
who's handling all that?
We would need a resale number.
Yeah, well, I already brought that. We need to find out about the resale number anyway.
What are you going to charge?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, we're charging, the cost of the book is $17.60 each, because we're only doing 1,000 to begin with. And so we came up with $29.95,
That's not bad at all.
which seemed to be a fair price.
The date for the reception
like
at the museum for that Starchitecture is, I just found it, now I lost it again.
What date?
January 27th,
Oh,
from
good,
5
so it
to
is at the end of
7.
the month.
From 5 to 7.
Yeah, at the
That's
museum.
great.
Time? Do you have time, Linda?
Yes, I do,
5 to
from 5 to
7.
7. It's on our website.
It's a miracle.
Yeah,
Bobby, what about Amazon? Are we able to sell
Well,
that way?
you can.
We can, we can do that.
There's leftovers.
If it were a digitally printed book, it would be really easy to get onto Amazon because they have a whole, what they call pod distribution network, which is print on demand, and they print a book. If someone orders it, it gets printed. Having them be a distributor of our book is another issue. And
Why?
because it's a book that we've printed, we've published. So they have to approve, the sale of that book.
I've sold books on
Yeah.
Amazon, yes, and
Okay, so
it's
it's
really, you have two options as the seller. One is you sell it yourself, which, again, we'd have the distribution problem again, but the other is you can actually ship it to them, and then they will sell it from their warehouse.
Yeah.
Well, I would think we should do
Definitely.
that.
Sure.
If nothing else, send them a box of them.
Yes,
And see how it goes.
yeah.
Also,
You know.
have you checked out Bart's books?
Well, we haven't.
That's
We
part
have a
of-
list, yeah, we have,
We're developing a
list that
list
we're
of
gonna be
all the
developing.
possible places to sell this book, and again, the logistics are really important. If we go to Bart's Books, do they purchase
Right.
them from us for resale? Is it on consignment? If so, how do we track their sales? It's a little more involved than just say, drop off a bunch of books and hope they give us our money.
Right.
You know?
Can I ask a question of the committee? Because this came up at our joint meeting, like, what's the next project? And it's really not a question, it's a request that you would consider looking at, since the whole Ojai Education Committee was originally created by Barbara Hirsch to teach the public about public art, that you might consider taking on the long overdue, outstanding, putting together a public art brochure and map that would go into all the hotels. We don't have it, and people don't know what public art we have.
Yes.
And quite frankly, it isn't going to happen if it stays with the Public Art Committee to do. I can't, it's just too much. And it really is, I think it would be fitting to go to your committee, so, that's all.
Good photography, too, important. That's important.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it would be beautiful if you guys did it.
Well, maybe in conjunction with the PR committee, that could be accomplished.
Oh, that would be
Yes,
wonderful.
I
That, it
so.
seems to me,
Yeah,
would make
that'd be
sense.
so
Good
wonderful.
project.
And I'm happy to be a resource on helping you identify what are the real city-owned public art pieces, because it can be a little confusing.
Yeah.
And I also can supply you with all kinds of anecdotal stories about each of the pieces that a lot of people don't know of some of these
Well,
stories.
and when we're ready for that.
Local
When you're
color.
ready.
We need to develop a budget for that.
Yeah,
you know,
I
and-
know,
and
but it would be
request the
maybe a
fund.
little cheaper to do that, too, because it could be something to go into hotels.
Right, right.
But
Okay.
I was very pleased that in our meeting with the council, the idea that was floated as one of the things we're considering being pottery and ceramics
Yeah.
from the Chumash forward
Yes.
seemed to cause a certain sparkle in the
Oh,
room.
yeah, it's a fabulous
So
idea.
I think as our next major book project, that's really the focus
Right,
of the committee. at
So I
this
almost
point.
didn't want to bring it up for that reason, because I
No,
could
I
get through
like
this
that.
one.
That's good for the PR committee, too.
Okay, well, public relations is next.
Well, we've been kind of on a little slow speed here, but now we have our work cut out for us. Stuart is going to start working on the PR for the grants. Of course, we won't release that until the city council approves. And then also for the Ojai by Design, that'll be something else that we work on and get out. And I was given last meeting, somebody asked me why we couldn't email out to people, and I was given permission to open up a MailChimp account. So that way we will be able to have a sign up on our website and have people get emails from the Public Arts Commission. So it's just another tool
Great.
between Facebook and the website that we get more people. So that's what's going on.
Good, thank you. And you have something else that you wanted to
Yeah, I
bring up,
forgot
Bobby?
something really important, and that is, this is kind of a budget item. Right now, this resale number is going to affect our budget. If we have a resale number and we don't have to pay sales tax on the printing, then we have $525 more in our budget that we can use for a postcard as an invitation for the event.
And advertising in the paper.
And maybe an ad in the
Yes.
paper,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
but without that, we will have a shortfall, in which case, yes.
Can't you talk to doing joint with the museum also?
We did talk
Oh,
about that, and
okay,
we're
you
going to
did,
explore
okay.
that
Yeah,
with them.
and
If
that
they
would-
have a resale number, we may be able to just piggyback on that,
Right.
given the fact that it is, in a sense, a museum arts commission project.
But we still need the money for, for the production of the postcard,
Right.
and if we're mailing it at, whatever it costs per, even using their list, it's gonna cost us money. So, with that, I had mentioned this at another meeting earlier, that we have money left from and this is a question for city council, because I still don't know the answer. If we have money from one thing that isn't used, can we move it as a line item to another section? Meaning, can we take the mentor money that we didn't use, mentor program money, and use it to cover these extra expenses for the book?
Well, I don't think there will be any mentor money left over.
Why not? We have one less mentor. We had 4 instead of 5. So we didn't use all the money.
Oh, for last fiscal year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for 2017.
You have to spend it now.
Yeah, so you're saying for fiscal year 16, 17, not fiscal year 17, 18, which is our current?
17, 18.
That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, so I don't think, I
Oh,
think
that's
there's,
right.
I
It
don't
was
think there's extra
Yeah, it
money
was
right
16,
now.
17.
Okay, so
Yeah, yeah.
So that brings us up to where do we get the money to produce the postcard?
Donations,
On that, we'll work
Okay.
on that.
donations.
And even if you design a JPEG, we can still send it out on our MailChimp
Well, yeah,
and,
we
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a mailed postcard. 'cause
Yeah.
We don't have email for everybody.
think the museum would.
Well, we'll work with the museum. That's the
Yeah.
next step. I'm going to
If they
be
send
meeting
out
with
one.
Mark and Wendy, and we'll see what we can do to get them involved in distribution and publicity. Okay, Art Acquisitions Committee, Linda?
Again, I don't have anything to report, except for I want the rack.
Yeah.
And I need the
Right,
rack.
we're waiting on the rack. So come January, we're going to be, we hope, finding out whether that money is perhaps available. And the awards committee, we're up to date and everything is Copichetti on awards. You may recall that we last awarded something posthumously to John Slade. So
Right.
we'll be in the new year dealing again with the annual Lifetime Achievement Award. Okay, one last item for discussion and so on, and that's the December meeting. The third Thursday of the month is December 21st, which is smack in the middle of the holiday week, and
We're always dark in December.
I think we should just remain dark. I think we've got things well enough under control on the committee level that, so if that's okay with everybody?
Well, I would like to make a little bit of a plea that if the Ojai Valley Inn has presented to CAPA and all they need is to present to the Arts Commission, CAPA needs to present to the Arts Commission, that we could have a very short meeting to do that and not hold them up for an entire month. Is that, can we do that, like in the event?
It's the second time.
Have a
I
special?
think in the event that it seems that that would be worth doing, we could call just a special meeting of the
Okay.
Arts Commission.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be on the 21st.
Doesn't have to be on the 21st,
No, it would be,
right.
it would be a
Okay.
special meeting, and all we need is a quorum
Yeah.
to
And
approve the CAPA
chances are they
recommendation.
won't be ready that
So,
fast, but
yeah, it probably won't be.
but it could be.
Okay, so we can move on then to the staff liaison report. James, if you would, please.
Is the December meeting, I had the impression it was currently scheduled, so I think we need to take action unless we just always cancel that December. Oh,
We
okay.
always have in the
Okay, so
past,
it's-
so I think
okay,
we'll just
okay.
continue.
I had it reversed, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's generally the city dinner that we go to in December, so that,
Yeah, there's a party, but
is our-
I don't
Yeah,
think
we're
they're
gonna be
having one
sending,
this year.
we're gonna do one this year. We're gonna send information out probably in the next week.
okay, great.
I've heard, hasn't been finalized yet, but I heard December 15th. Let me double check to make sure that was it. Yeah, Friday the 15th was the
Friday
date
the
that I heard.
13th?
15th.
1-5, right? 15?
15, yeah.
1-5.
But I think we're still, booking everything.
Okay. All right, over to you, James.
Thank you. So I have a couple items in there in the packet. The first item is the project subject to public art requirement list. There's some new projects up. Last month, we talked about Boku Superfoods. There's a question about if they were building or remodeling. Boku Superfoods at
Third one.
987 West Ojai Avenue.
What number is it?
It's the second one on the list.
Oh, yes, the second.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the wrong thing, I think.
It's
The-
this year.
This,
Project subject to public art.
The last sheet, I think, on your, second last sheet on your.
Should say item I, page 1 of 3 on the bottom right.
page 1 of 3,
Mhm.
got that.
Okay, so it's the second item.
Oh, I see,
Listed.
okay.
DRP.
So I checked with community development, and I had mentioned last time that one of the things I had asked for was to try to get information whenever there's a building project submitted as early as possible. And so they aren't necessarily going to hit the triggers to become public art required projects. That one they're saying is expected to be very minor, and it's not going to be a big project. I know last time we were trying to figure out what that project could be. So they had applied for a minor building project permit. So we'll have more information on that in the next couple months, but it's not expected to be like a large building project. The only update here, the Ojai Valley Inn has the valuation listed. And everything else is pretty much status quo, unless you have questions on that.
Okay.
And then just the next item that I have is the Public Art Fund, which we already talked about earlier. So the key point there is the museum gates are reflected now as a pending debit of $8,000, which I know we talked about earlier, and which changes the remaining amount in the Public Art Fund to $38,775. Before it was $46,000.
Okay. Well, thank you, James, and thank you for all the work you do in support of this over-demanding commission. It's appreciated. But just so much of what we do is dependent upon your advice and digging out details and the hard work, and we appreciate that. Okay, let's go sort of around the room for commissioner comments. Stuart, do you have anything?
No.
Ms. Golden, anything? Ms. Byrne, anything?
No?
Ms. Linda?
Nope. Nothing?
Nothing? Nothing.
It's 7:50.
Wow.
Almost 7:50. That's why.
I
Wow.
thought we weren't going to be done till 9.
Amazing. Almost time for supper.
I know.
We now have one remaining item, important, the city council liaison report, and we have Councilmember Blatz with us.
Thank you, as always. It's a delight to be the liaison to the Arts Commission for a quarter. And I really want to thank all of you for the effort that was put into the joint meeting that we had last week. It was excellent meeting. And Bobby did a fine job on that book. I can't wait to get my copy. Really and truly can't. It's just magnificent. We talked about a lot of things last week, so there's not a heck of a lot to talk about now. So if you have any questions or anything, I'll be glad to answer them. But I'm just here to say thank you for all your hard work. It's amazing the talent that's in this room for the Arts Commission. I just love it every time I come.
Can we sell the book at city council meetings?
I have no idea what the rules and regulations are about selling books by a city and the profit and all that. I have no idea. I don't know any reason why we couldn't, but I don't know. It's one of those things that cities sometimes can't be in the business of making a profit on anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, that's a question that we'll leave up to Steve McClary and the city manager. The other thing is I also really like the idea of the pottery. I think that'd be a wonderful publication. I've thought for years that a publication would be great that emphasized all the public art too.
Yeah.
But between the two, I think if we just had a nice catalog of all the public art, which we may have, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But a good photograph and the anecdotal things that you talked about, Christine, would be excellent. But the book on pottery, taking it right back from what we found in the valley from the Chumash, all the way up through Beatrice Wood and all the other fantastic potters we've had, I think that'd be a great publication. It really would.
There's a real story there.
Yeah, there is. There's a real story there. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We even got a little rain today. That was nice.
Yes, that was nice too,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you for all your hard work. I'll see you next month.
Thanks
Well,
for
you're
being with
not
us.
going to be here next month. I'll see you at the
See
Christmas
you in
party.
January
Yeah.
at the Christmas party. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much. Great meeting. We are adjourned.
Good, now I don't have to haul this around.
Keep it yourself. Madrigali? Do you want a Madrigali CD?
Sure, why?
There. It's yours.